On a bright summer morning, you may apply sunscreen. On a dark winter morning, you may take vitamin D. One product blocks ultraviolet radiation. The other replaces something sunlight helps your skin produce. Your ancestors had neither bottle, yet sunlight helped produce the full range of human skin colors we see today. So, why do humans have different skin colors? The answer is not heat or separate human origins. It is one pigment caught between two opposite dangers. Remove sunscreen, supplements, fortified food, heated houses, and year-round access to oily fish. Now, sunlight is part of the survival system. Skin must block enough ultraviolet radiation to protect the body, while allowing enough UVB to help produce vitamin D. That balance changes when the sky changes. Evolution will adjust it, just not before winter. Picture a winter morning in the mountains of northern Spain. About 7,000 years ago, a hunter-gatherer steps into weak light. Cold air keeps most of his skin covered. His group lives on whatever it can hunt, gather, or catch nearby. His remains would later be found at La Branya, and his DNA would reveal a combination that does not fit the usual picture of ancient Europe. Keep that mystery open. First, we need to correct the explanation most people hear. The familiar answer says dark skin evolved in hot places, and light skin evolved in cold places. It sounds tidy. It is also tracking the wrong variable. A cold, high mountain can receive powerful ultraviolet radiation. A warm region under thick clouds or forest can receive much less. Latitude matters. So do altitude, cloud cover, season, and the angle of the sun. Across populations with long histories in one region, baseline pigmentation follows ultraviolet radiation more closely than temperature. Evolution was not responding to whether the weather felt pleasant. It was responding to invisible radiation reaching the skin. Under the strong African sun, that radiation created the first side of the problem. Earlier human ancestors had far more body hair. As the genus Homo became better at long-distance movement and heavy sweating, more skin was exposed during hours of activity in open environments. That skin needed protection. The solution was melanin, especially dark eumelanin. Everyone has pigment-producing cells. The visible difference is how much melanin they make, what type they make, and how the pigment is distributed. Think of melanin as a built-in ultraviolet filter. Unlike sunscreen, it cannot be forgotten at home, and it does not need to be reapplied after crossing a river. It absorbs and scatters ultraviolet radiation before more of it reaches vulnerable tissue. That helps reduce damage accumulating in skin cells. But here is the less obvious part. Strong ultraviolet exposure can also contribute to folate loss. Folate is important for cell division, fetal development, and reproduction. One afternoon did not erase a family line. Natural selection is slower and less theatrical. Small differences repeated across thousands of generations. Under strong, reliable ultraviolet radiation, stronger pigmentation reduced biological costs. Dark skin became the safer compromise. Then human populations carried that protection into places where it created a new problem. As populations spread into Eurasia, the sunlight changed. Farther from the equator, especially in winter, much less UVB reaches the ground. At first, that sounds useful. Less radiation means less damage. Except UVB also begins vitamin D production in the skin. Vitamin D helps growing bones use calcium properly. Severe deficiency can contribute to rickets, leaving bones weak or bent. For a child who must walk across rough ground and keep pace with a mobile group, that is not a small inconvenience. There was no orthopedic clinic beyond the next ridge. Now the old shield had a price. More melanin still protected the skin, but weak northern sunlight left less UVB available to begin with. The filter that worked brilliantly under stronger sun could make vitamin D production harder during a northern winter. But early migrants did not simply wait for lighter skin to evolve. This is where culture entered the equation. Oily fish, eggs, and some animal tissues supplied vitamin D. Outdoor work exposed faces and hands. Seasonal movement changed both food and sunlight. A coastal fishing group faced a different problem. From an inland group living mainly on lean game, behavior could reduce the danger within one season. Genes could not. Where weak UVB and low dietary vitamin D continued for many generations. Variants linked to lower pigmentation gained an advantage. Lighter skin was not an upgrade. It was another compromise for another sky. Now comes the part a simple racial color chart cannot explain. Lighter pigmentation did not evolve once and then spread everywhere from a single source. Populations in Western Eurasia and East Asia reached partly similar visible outcomes through different combinations of genetic variants. Several variants strongly associated with lighter skin in Europe are uncommon in East Asia. East Asian populations followed other routes, including changes involving a gene called OCA2. The same environmental pressure met a different genetic toolbox. Biologists call this convergent evolution. It is like two groups crossing the same river with bridges built from different parts. Both reach the other side. The structures underneath are not the same. Africa was never one uniform shade either. African populations contain enormous pigmentation and genetic diversity, shaped by local ultraviolet conditions, deep ancestry, migration, and population mixing. Human skin formed overlapping gradients. Then people kept moving across them. Now return to the hunter in northern Spain. His genome carried ancestral versions of several important skin pigmentation genes, together with a variant associated with blue eyes. Ancient DNA cannot switch on a prehistoric camera. It can only estimate likely traits from surviving genetic evidence. But this combination still matters. It shows that eye color and skin pigmentation did not transform together as one matching European package. Different pigmentation variants became common at different times. Some were favored by natural selection. Some arrived with migrating populations. Often, both processes worked together. Then farming changed both the menu and the gene pool. Farmers moving from Anatolia brought new ancestry into Europe. Cereal-heavy diets may also have provided less vitamin D than some hunter-gatherer diets rich in fish and varied animal foods. That could have strengthened selection for lighter pigmentation in some regions, although it was only one part of the process. Europe did not suddenly turn pale. Its modern pigmentation patterns were assembled slowly through selection, diet, migration, and mixing. The La Branja hunter was not an odd survivor standing outside European history. He was living while that history was still being assembled. The hunter knew none of these gene names. He knew when winter light weakened, when fish returned, which animal parts carried fat, and how much hide the cold required. His clothing changed how much skin met the sun. His diet changed how dependent his body was on sunlight. His group's movement changed both. These choices could alter vitamin D risk within months. A genetic adaptation needed generations. That difference in speed is one of humanity's greatest advantages. Culture responds to a new environment first. Natural selection changes the population later. The man at La Branja did not change color during his lifetime, but his descendants inherited new mixtures of variants. Some became more common, others faded. New groups arrived, and the mixtures changed again. Human pigmentation never followed one straight road from dark to light. The road kept branching, crossing, and merging. That is why skin color forms gradients rather than clean biological borders. Nearby populations can look different because ancestry moved unevenly. Distant populations can look similar because evolution found comparable solutions. The visible result is easy to notice, but too continuous to divide honestly into a few natural boxes. Skin color can preserve clues about some ancestral environments. It cannot tell a complete family history, and it cannot rank one population above another. It is a surface trait shaped by sunlight and then rearranged by movement. So why do humans have different skin colors? Because the same human body had to survive under different levels of ultraviolet radiation. Where ultraviolet radiation was intense, more melanin offered stronger protection. Where UVB was weak, less melanin could help the skin produce vitamin D more efficiently. Food, clothing, migration, and population mixing changed the details. Sunlight created the central trade-off. That is why every skin tone belongs to the same biological system, not a separate type of human. The products on your bathroom shelf still reveal the ancient problem. One blocks the sun. The other replaces part of what the sun provides. Human skin evolved between those two needs. Every shade is a record of the sunlight our ancestors survived. Subscribe to Beforewise for more stories of how humans survived before modern comfort.